Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another morning coffee talks. I seen a video clip yesterday. It wasn't. It was a video reaction to another video, but it was good, man. It was talking about just the expectations of marriage, and I wanted to kind of put my 2 cents on it. Now that I've been married for a while, been with my wife for a while. And also, I wanted to make this video because I know it's a new year. I know it's a lot of guys who probably gonna be popping the question this year, and I just wanted to say my piece again for someone who is married and been married for a while now. But there is a lot of sentiment from a lot of men who feel misled by marriage, and it's kind of like saying the quiet part out loud. You know, a lot of men and even from my personal don't hate marriage, but sometimes you can feel misled by it, right? And it's not because you didn't want the commitment, but because sometimes what they were sold doesn't match what they're living, if that makes sense. It's not in alignment. I think a lot of us kind of grew up on what we seen on TV. A lot of us grew up under kind of false pretense. And so that's why a lot of men may feel misled by marriage. And again, I'm not saying that's for me, but I can see the misalignment, right? On what it's kind of like expectations versus reality. And there is definitely a gap. So this was kind of the breakdown of what was sold, right, to a lot of men. And this is for the men who watching it, who again may be looking to get married. The picture that's being painted is, hey, work hard, provide, be loyal, and everything can kind of fall into place. But what a lot of men weren't told that would be really required in this marriage is constant emotional calibration, unspoken expectations, and accountability without authority sometimes. And I think that when we was growing up, it was just like, again, we talking about what was promoted to us was, hey, the man runs the household fully, and the woman she cooks and cleans. But again, we missed the transition of when women went into the workplace, and they started getting their own money, started getting their own bag. That mentality was a shift. A lot of them was like, well, I don't have to play women specifically. I'm not designated to this role. I have to play this role. I can go and play a different role. And so with men, a lot of us didn't miss that mark. A lot of us miss the transition, right? And I think that gap between reality and expectation on what we thought we expected what the wife should be, kind of created confusion, not really bitterness, but confusion. And I think a lot of men are going through that now who in a marriage, who've been in a marriage, or who's getting ready to come. I don't want y'all to think like, man, it's gonna be super traditional. My girl, she's just gonna cook, clean, stay at the crib, and go to work, right? It's not going down like that. It's just a different, I'll say, rule book out here. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of us, many of us, enter marriage without like a manual, like a how-to guide, right? But we are expected to lead, be emotionally intelligent. We expect to communicate perfectly, stay strong, but also even be vulnerable, right? And this is stuff that was never promoted on TV. It was never really even spoken to by the men of yesteryear, right? Because they were living in a different reality from what's going on now, right? And what's going to be going on into the future. A lot of dudes ain't even trying to get married, right? But again, specifically for the guys who are looking to get married this year and who are in a marriage that's changing. Because a lot of times, again, through social media is very powerful, and women want different things now. They're getting different messages. Women who've been in their marriage for a long time are having different spaces and podcasts where they're speaking like out in their marriage about what they want to be different. And it's just one of those things, like, again, not having that rule book, not having that manual on how you should really understand what you're going into. So when things go wrong, the message becomes, oh, well, you should have known. You know what I mean? And it's not like you going to get a degree on this, and it's like then you start to get the experience. It's almost like marriage is definitely not. And again, it should be a partnership, but it's more like a moving target, man. It really is. And this is what I'm learning, because women change, man. They change their mentality. It's almost like, for us, sometimes we'll set our feet down, and we can stand on that for a long time. That's why they say a lot of dudes be stuck in their ways, because we like, look, this will work. This is what's been working, and it's gonna continue to work, and we just roll with that. And it's like, it's the same thing. Like, and again, that doesn't mean that those things don't deteriorate over time, but they stand strong for a long time. It's like, man, when we build buildings, right? We build houses, they stand strong for a long time, but over time, just through nature and stuff like that, they start deteriorating. So you have to, upgrade it. You have to patch things, but it's still stand strong. But a lot of times when it comes to women, it's so fluid all the time. And that's what we didn't understand going into marriage, right? And it's crazy, because when I think about it, it's almost like the thing about love, it was kind of framed as a reward, not a responsibility, right? And I feel that many men believe, like, hey, man, if I do my part, love stays consistent. And that's where I'm saying, like, we'll do things, and we'll set firm in it. And it's like, I'm doing my part, right? I'm firm, and I'm doing my part. I'm providing, I'm paying the bills. That should show her that I love her, right? That should say that because I'm doing my part, love stays consistent, and it doesn't, right? It's like, and I've said this in like older videos that I've made, and I peeped game a long time ago. Marriage isn't the finish line, right? A lot of dudes think, man, I got my girl, I'm married, I'm good. No, marriage is a system, man. You got to constantly manage it. You got to constantly massage it. You got to constantly love in it, pour in it, like. And again, it's fluid. It's a moving target. It's a moving target. And when men realize that in marriage, effort doesn't equal peace automatically, that, I don't want to say they feel angry, but they feel misinformed. Like, wait a minute, this is what I was fed, this is what I was told, but this is not what I'm receiving back from what I'm putting in, right? And that's when they feel like, kind of like, okay, wait, either I'm misinformed or misled. Something I'm doing is not adding up. You know what I mean? And again, it's good for moments in time because it's fluid, right? It's a moving target. You may hit the target, sometimes you may not. But that's when it's like, yeah, I feel misled or misinformed, right? And again, even inside the marriage, when a lot of dudes are seeing these moving targets, they're seeing things become fluid, a lot of times we don't speak up early. And that's not because we don't care. We're trying to figure things out. But a lot of times we don't want conflict, right? We always want peace in our marriage. Because, it's like win the war, not always win the battle type thing. But I will say this, over time, because we're trying to figure it out, that silence, if you're not speaking up on it, because, you're not trying to create chaos inside your peace, it can turn to resentment, though. It can turn to resentment. And resentment turns into that feeling of, man, I signed up for something different outside of what I thought, I was getting, right? So, listen, this one thing about it, I've never, my channel's never been about blaming women, right, or bashing women, but it is about being honest. A lot of men feel misled when expectations aren't spoken, roles aren't clear, and efforts feel one-sided, right? But as a natural women, I'm learning, man, it's not a set it and forget it. It's not a, hey, I built this and it stays the same. It's constant movement. And That's just the way it is. I don't know. And it's all of them. It's all the women, man. Some of them are more conscious of it. That's how, that's just in my nature. It's how I move. And, but yeah, it can, if you don't have any managing skills, no leadership skill, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if you get married to, when you get married to this woman, just know that I would say if I had to write a book on it, man, even thus far, and there's people who've been in marriage longer than me, but for my little chapter in this book of marriage, I would say, yeah, you need management skills. You have to, because there's so many moving parts, not even just with your woman, but when you go into it, because marriage is a different tier from just being in a long-term relationship, right? The expectations are higher. The responsibility, accountability is higher and heightened. And so you have to have management skills, soft skills and hard skills. And when I say soft skills, right, we're talking about that emotional intelligence, right? You know, just how to read the room at certain points. And it's the same thing you do at your job if you're managing people, right? You got to read the room on certain parts because there's, that's just what it is. And then when it comes to the hard skills, we're talking about how to move around women. And it's I know, like, it's not all about the woman, right? But that's you playing that part where if you want this marriage to work, and you want this future to work, you have to know how to move around them a certain way, right? Especially like times, they're on their cycle, or just, they having a bad day. You know what I mean? We've constantly heard men talk about this for years and years and years, just about how I get the sentiment of happy wife, happy life, but it gets tiring. It does. It does get tiring, man. Constantly having to play the role where you got to keep the peace. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little part on that. But again, there are beautiful times in marriage, whereas when it's working, man, it's flowing. You like, okay, I get it. I get why this is necessary. But there are points in it, especially now, like you hearing because the internet's Pandora's box, man. And I don't think all the dudes lying. I think a lot of dudes just waking up. But when you hear that story, you like, this is the same story that's been told 20, 30, 40 years ago. And it's still happening now to the men now. It's like, but then you start to see patterns, right? You start to see patterns. You like, oh, okay, this is just how women are. That's their nature. This is not what we was told was not adding up. But this what every man is saying constantly, consistently across the board, from back then to now, to yesterday, to tomorrow. It's the same constant message about what they're experiencing in their marriage, right? And it's like, man, why is that message consistent, right? You feel what I'm saying? And so that's what you have to tap into about what those consistent bullet points are. And so once you figure that out, it's like then you can start to manage the system of that constant, those bullet points. So if it's like 10 bullet points that's consistent, again, things can be interchangeable, right? But if there's 10 bullet points of what's consistent about, hey, this is what's happening in my marriage with my wife, my family, my kids, you know what I'm saying? Everything involved, that's a system. Now at that point, you just got to know how to manage it. And that's why I say you need managing skills, because if you know how to manage and multitask and move priorities around and be emotionally locked in, intelligent, how to hold your frame, it could get tough, man. But that's what make you different. That's what make you a strong man, and I would say at this point, it's made it worth it. You know what I mean? It's actually made it in. I want some dudes gonna be like, you crazy. I enjoy managing things because I'm a numbers guy, I'm a systems guy. But if you're not, you may not enjoy it. You may not enjoy it. So that may be a turn off for you. Like, dang, man, I gotta do this every day with this girl when she acting up and this and that, and she and her feelings. Yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But anyway, man, listen. Overall, marriage works best when both people stop pretending and start telling the truth early too. I would say that it works. It works best when there's truth in the middle of that gap of expectations and reality. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. If you got any value from this video, hit the like button. If it's your first time watching, go ahead and subscribe. If you've been watching for a while, subscribe. And then, share this video out with somebody who may need to hear this message. All right. Again, with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.